Welcome to Conspiracy Deconstructed. Our mission, well, it's pretty direct. We take these complex, viral stories, sometimes really shocking ones, and we just take them apart piece by piece.
Yeah, the goal isn't just to say, oh, that's false. We want to show why it seemed believable to so many people, how it caught on, and critically, what happened in the real world because of it.
Exactly. And today, we're diving into one that really exploded a few years back. It was huge, and maybe one of the most damaging online theories recently, the Wayfair cabinet conspiracy.
Right. This one hit the internet hard in the summer of 2020. The core allegation was just staggering. That Wayfair, the big online furniture place, wasn't just selling furniture.
No. They were supposedly using these super expensive industrial cabinets listed with human names as a front.
A front for an international child sex trafficking ring. It sounds unbelievable saying it now, but it spread like wildfire.
So we're going to trace it right from the beginning, like where did this even start? Some obscure corner of the internet.
All the way through to when it was everywhere, and then really spend some time on the impact. Because the fallout, it was devastating for actual anti-trafficking efforts, for families. It really hit hard.
Yeah, this is going to be a deep look into how modern disinformation works, especially when it hits those really emotional buttons.
Okay, let's set the scene. What exactly were people seeing that made them think this?
Okay, so let's start with the raw claim. It's July 2020. Imagine you're scrolling through Wayfair. You're looking for maybe a cheap rug, some new towels, the usual stuff they sell.
Right. Affordable home goods. That's their brand.
But then you stumble across this specific line, the WFX utility collection. And the claim spreading online it's chilling. It's that Wayfair isn't selling storage cabinets here.
They're selling children. That was the blunt, shocking message flooding social media.
And the proof, according to the thousands sharing this, was right there in the listings themselves.
Yeah, walk us through the specifics, because the details are what made it seem, well, plausible to some people initially.
Okay, so the focus was on these, industrial-grade cabinets. Think basic metal lockers, storage units. But the prices, they were astronomical.
We're talking upwards of $10,000, sometimes $12,000, $13,000, even close to $15,000 for one cabinet.
Which, if you've ever bought anything from Wayfair, that's just bizarrely high. It immediately flags something as weird.
Definitely suspicious pricing. But it was the names that really sealed it for believers. These cabinets weren't just Model X1000.
No, they had these unusual, specific feminine names like Naraya, Yuritsa, Olivia, Samia.
Right, so you had the Naraya storage cabinet listed for, what was it, over $14,000?
$14,499.99. And the Olivia storage cabinet for $12,699.99.
So for the people pushing this theory, the conclusion seemed obvious. These aren't product names, they're the names of missing kids.
And the crazy high price, that wasn't for the cabinet, that was the price for the child.
It wasn't seen as just a weird listing or a mistake. People immediately jumped to framing it as solid proof of this huge criminal operation hiding in plain sight.
Oh yeah, the online reaction was instant and explosive. I remember seeing tweets saying things like, the internet just busted a major trafficking ring right under our noses.
Framing it like this collective online detective work had uncovered something massive that authorities missed. Very heroic sounding.
And it didn't stay isolated for long, did it? It immediately got tangled up with older conspiracy theories.
Instantly. The same posts shouting about Wayfair were using hashtags like #Pizzagate. So this brand new, very specific claim about cabinets was immediately slotted into that larger pre-existing narrative about, global elites and secret pedophile rings.
So for the believers, Wayfair wasn't really the point. It was just the latest piece of evidence that confirmed their existing worldview.
Exactly. It gave a very visual, almost transactional element, these listings, these prices, to a conspiracy that had often been kind of vague before. It felt concrete.
Okay, so it blew up in July 2020. But where did this spark actually come from? It wasn't some highly coordinated campaign, right? At least not at first.
No, not initially. We can trace the very beginning back to Thursday, July 9th, 2020. The place, Reddit. Specifically, the subreddit r/conspiracy.
And the post itself wasn't even stating it as fact, was it? It was more of a question.
Right. The user, Princess Peach 1987, actually phrased it quite cautiously. They asked basically, hey, is it possible Wayfair is involved in human trafficking with these cabinets? Or are they just really, really overpriced?
So even the original poster had some doubt. What made them suspicious in the first place? Was it trafficking?
Interestingly, no. Their initial suspicion, based on their post, was actually about the money. They said they were suspicious of the, quote, insane pricing for the dingy cabinets and the weird names.
Okay.
And they thought maybe the links were a front to, quote, clear large amounts of money. Basically, money laundering.
Ah, okay. That makes a bit more sense initially. Why jump to money laundering, though?
Well, the user actually referenced something people see online, those kind of hidden listings on sites like AliExpress, where you buy something listed super cheap, but use a code or message the seller, and you actually get sent something expensive, often a counterfeit luxury good.
Right. So the cheap listing is just a way to process the payment for the real hidden item without drawing attention.
Exactly. So the user saw the weird Wayfair listings, strange names, huge prices, and thought, maybe it's like that. A hidden transaction.
Okay, I can see the logic leap there, but still, that's a massive jump from maybe it's money laundering like on AliExpress to they're selling children internationally. How did it pivot so fast and so hard?
That pivot was almost immediate, right there in the comments on Reddit. The original user asked a question about finance, but others instantly took it and ran with the trafficking angle.
And that narrative just took off.
Like rocket fuel. Let's be honest, the emotional power of Save the Children is just infinitely stronger than let's expose potential financial irregularities.
Yeah, no comparison. And we absolutely have to talk about the timing. Summer 2020. This wasn't happening in a vacuum.
Not even close. It was the height of the first wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. The lockdowns were widespread. People were stuck inside, spending, as one report put it, inordinate amounts of time online.
And stress levels were through the roof. Economic anxiety, social unrest, just a general sense of fear and uncertainty about everything.
It was the perfect breeding ground. People were desperately looking for answers, for simple explanations for why the world felt so chaotic and scary. And that fear makes you vulnerable to extreme claims.
And this is where QAnon jumps in and throws gasoline on the fire, right?
Precisely. QAnon's whole deal is this idea of a secret war against a global cabal of elites, the Satan-worshipping pedophiles narrative. When the Wayfair story emerged, QAnon followers seized it immediately.
They saw it as proof.
Tangible proof. They pushed it hard, using that powerful Save Our Children slogan.
Wow.
Wayfair, in their telling, was just the latest storefront unmasked in this global elite trafficking operation they already believed existed.
So a weird pricing glitch on a furniture website became, for them, undeniable evidence confirming their entire worldview. It wasn't really about Wayfair. It was about validating QAnon.
It was a key red-pilling moment for many. It took this genuine, understandable concern for child safety and twisted it, funneling that energy towards this extremist anti-government ideology.
Okay, so to really get why this convinced so many people, we need to look at the evidence they were sharing. Let's lay out their case, charitably, as they saw it at the time. There were basically 4 main pillars to it.
Right. Let's step into their shoes for a moment. The first and most obvious piece was just looking at the listings themselves.
The prices and the names, yeah.
Exactly. Proponents pointed to specific items. The Yaritza storage cabinet for over $13,000, the Samiya 5-shelf storage cabinet for nearly the same.
And the thinking was pretty straightforward, wasn't it? Wayfair sells cheap stuff. Nobody pays $15,000 for a metal locker unless
you're not actually buying the locker. The logic was the price is too high for the object, so it must be the price for the name attached to it. The name is the person, the price is the fee.
They were convinced Wayfair's normal business model just couldn't explain these prices. Therefore, the item had to be a disguise for something else.
That was point 1. Point 2, and this was maybe the most powerful emotionally, was connecting these names to actual missing children.
Right. People started searching these unusual names, Naria, Olivia, Samiya.
And they found them.
Yeah.
They found public missing person reports, news articles about missing teens with those exact names, like Samiya Moomin or Olivia Navarro.
And it wasn't just the cabinets, right? Didn't other products get pulled in?
Yeah. As the frenzy grew, people started finding other weirdly priced items. There was like a $10,000 throw pillow with the name Duplessis on it. And sure enough, they found a missing person report for someone named Duplessis.
And they pointed to the huge number of missing kids reports overall, didn't they? Like the FBI stats.
Yes. They'd cite the fact that the FBI's NCIC database had like over 400,000 missing children entries in 2019. So to them, finding a match between a product name and a missing child wasn't just possible, it was likely. It seemed to confirm a pattern.
Okay, so price names, missing children links. What was the third piece? That had to do with Wayfair's reaction, right?
Yes. The fact that Wayfair very quickly took those expensive cabinet listings down, that was huge for the believers.
They didn't see it as damage control or fixing a listing error?
No, they saw it as panic.
Oh.
As Wayfair, quote, scrambling to hide their sex trafficking scandal, the speed of the removal was interpreted as a clear admission of guilt. Caught red-handed.
And wasn't there also a rumor about the CEO around the same time?
Yeah, that added to it. A rumor spread like wildfire that the CEO of Wayfair had suddenly stepped down right when these allegations hit.
Which, if true, would obviously look incredibly suspicious. Like, the whole thing was collapsing under the pressure of internet sleuths. Okay, and the fourth piece of evidence. This was the more technical one, the one that made people feel like they'd found a secret back door.
Right, the Yandex SKU search. This was presented as the hidden link, the way to see the real product being sold.
The Russian search engine connection? How is that supposed to work again?
The claim was, you take the product's SKU number, the unique code for each item, and you search for it on the Russian search engine Yandex. But you had to add the specific phrase, SRC USA, to the search query.
And what were they saying you'd find?
They claimed this specific search would bypass regular internet filters and show you disturbing, illicit photos of children, the very children allegedly being sold through that listing. This was the key, the hidden layer revealing the truth.
Wow, okay, so when you put all four pieces together, the crazy prices and names, the apparent links to missing kids, the company seemingly panicking, and this secret tech code, I can see how it built a really compelling self-contained narrative.
Absolutely. If you already suspect something dark was going on, each of these points would feel like confirmation. It all fit together seemingly perfectly.
All right, so we've laid out the case the believers are making. Now we need to bring in the facts, the verifiable information. And when you do that, this whole structure, it just doesn't hold up. Let's go point by point, starting with the prices and Wayfair's response.
Okay. First, Wayfair's official statement was clear and consistent. There is, of course, no truth to these claims. They stated the products were industrial-grade cabinets that are accurately priced.
But that price still seems nuts to most people. $14,000 for a cabinet. How is that accurately priced?
It comes down to the type of cabinet. These weren't meant for your home office. They were heavy-duty industrial units. Think specialized features, reinforced steel, specific locking mechanisms, maybe fire resistance, high weight capacities for warehouses or labs.
Okay, so stuff businesses or institutions would buy, not average consumers.
Exactly. And when those specialized high-cost wholesale items are sold through a consumer-facing site like Wayfair, there's a markup. The price reflects the industrial specs and the B2B nature of the product, not some hidden code for a child. It's priced for a different market.
So the price wasn't a secret code, it was just an industrial price tag appearing on a consumer site. And what about them pulling the listings down so fast? Believers saw that as guilt.
Wayfair was pretty open about why they did that. They said the removal was temporary. Their stated reason was, quote, to rename them and to provide a more in-depth description and photos that accurately depict the product to clarify the price point.
So basically, they realized the listings were confusing the heck out of their normal customers and causing this massive PR nightmare, so they took them down to fix the descriptions and explain the high price better.
Pretty much. It was a clumsy attempt at damage control for a confusing listing that had spiraled into a massive scandal, not an admission of running a trafficking ring.
And the rumor about the CEO resigning?
Totally false. Wayfair explicitly confirmed to news outlets and fact-checkers that the CEO had not resigned. They reiterated that the core issue was a pricing glitch they were fixing.
Okay, so the corporate response angle falls apart. Now, let's get to the really sensitive part, the supposed links to missing children. This is where real people got hurt. What did investigations find about those names?
This is the truly tragic part. The individuals whose names got swept up in this faced horrible harassment. Take Samia Mumin, the teenager linked to one cabinet. She wasn't missing, she was alive and well, but so overwhelmed by the online attacks and accusations that she actually had to post a nearly hour-long video proving she was okay and debunking the whole thing.
God, imagine having to do that as a teenager. It's just awful.
It's horrific. And then there's the case of Olivia Navarro. Her name was linked to a cabinet, fueling the idea she was currently being sold. The reality. Olivia tragically drowned in a pond back in 2013. Years before this conspiracy even started.
So they were using the name in memory of a deceased child as evidence in 2020.
Yes. Her family's tragedy was twisted into fuel for this conspiracy. And remember, the Duplessis pillow linked to Samar Duplessis. Her family confirmed she had been reported missing, but was found safely home in May 2020, before the Wayfair theory even took off.
So the timeline doesn't even work. What about the argument that finding any name match was likely, given the hundreds of thousands of missing person reports?
That's a classic statistical fallacy. With such a huge data set of missing persons reports over years and a massive online retailer with thousands of products using common and uncommon names, you're almost guaranteed to find overlaps just by chance.
It doesn't prove a connection.
Not at all. Plus, investigators found that many of the specific Wayfair products using those names had actually been listed on the site before the corresponding child was reported missing. The connection was pure coincidence, amplified by motivated searching.
Okay, that covers the names. Now the final piece, the tech angle. The Yandex SKU search with SRC USA. The secret code. What was really going on there?
This was maybe the most misleading part because it sounded so technical and hidden. But the truth is, the Wayfair SKU number was completely irrelevant.
It wasn't the key.
Not at all. The entire effect came from the search string SRC USA being used on Yandex.
How does that string work then? Why did it pull up disturbing images?
It seems to be exploiting how some search engines, particularly Yandex in this case, index image sources online. SRC likely relates to the HTML code for image source. When you combine that with USA and basically any long string of numbers, not just Wayfair SKUs, Yandex's algorithm seems to get directed towards known repositories of illicit and disturbing images, often hosted on specific Russian websites.
Wait, so you could put any random long number in there with SRC USA and get similar results?
That's exactly what fact checkers found. Try searching random digits, like your phone number minus a digit, plus SRC USA on Yandex, you'd likely get disturbing results. Searching SRC USA alone often yielded similar problematic images.
So the disturbing images were coming from somewhere else entirely, likely that Russian image site mgsrc.ru you mentioned.
Precisely. The site, mgsrc.ru, is known for hosting problematic and illicit content. The SRC USA search term, especially on Yandex, effectively acted as a doorway to that existing content. The Wayfair SKU had nothing to do with generating those images. It was just a random string of numbers plugged into a search query known to produce bad results.
So the conspiracy didn't uncover anything about Wayfair. It just misused a known problematic search function and falsely attached Wayfair's product numbers to it.
Exactly. It created the illusion of a hidden layer of high-tech proof when it was just pointing people towards pre-existing illicit content using an unrelated number as justification. It was a red herring, but a very effective one.
Okay, so we've taken the whole thing apart. The premise was absurd, the evidence was fabricated or misinterpreted, but like we said, we can't stop there. Why did this specific story catch fire, and what was the real-world cost?
The power of this theory really lies in how it hijacks something incredibly real and awful, human trafficking, and twists it. It taps into this very deep, very genuine human instinct to protect children. That save the children impulse is incredibly strong.
And if you believe you're fighting that fight, exposing this massive crime, you don't just feel like you're right, you feel like you're a hero, right? Like you're seeing a truth that the mainstream, the media, the government is ignoring or covering up.
Absolutely. The Wayfair story gave people a tangible enemy, a big corporation, and a clear mission. Share the listings, search the codes, expose them. It felt active, empowering. And like we touched on, it was a huge red-pilling moment for many.
Remind us what red-pilling means in this context.
It's jargon from these online communities, referencing the Matrix. It means that moment someone supposedly wakes up and realizes the reality they believed in was a lie constructed by powerful forces. The Wayfair theory acted as that trigger for lots of people, taking their initial concern about trafficking and channeling it directly into the broader QAnon belief system about this global cabal.
And the audience for this was already primed, wasn't it? The belief in elite pedophile rings is surprisingly widespread.
Disturbingly so. Polls have shown numbers like 41% of American adults believing something along those lines, that elites are involved in these massive trafficking networks. So Wayfair landed on incredibly fertile ground. It seemed to confirm fears people already held. It provided a clear villain for their anxieties.
But this wasn't just online chatter. The impact on actual anti-trafficking work was immediate and, frankly, disastrous. Can you talk about the strain on resources?
It was immense. Organizations like Polaris, which runs the National Human Trafficking Hotline, were completely swamped. Their staff, and staff at similar places, are often mandated reporters.
Meaning they legally have to investigate and report any tips suggesting a child might be harmed?
Exactly. So when thousands upon thousands of tips flooded in about Wayfair cabinets, they couldn't just ignore them. Each one had to be logged, assessed, often reported to law enforcement, even though they quickly realized it was based on misinformation.
That sounds incredibly time-consuming and draining, diverting them from real cases.
Hugely. The sheer volume of these false Wayfair reports clogged the system. It overwhelmed hotline staff, law enforcement liaisons, everyone involved in the actual work of helping trafficking victims.
And Polaris actually quantified the cost, didn't they? That number is just staggering.
It really is. Polaris estimated that the staff time they spent dealing only with the Wayfair conspiracy fallout time spent debunking, reporting false leads, calming panicked callers was equivalent to the time needed to respond to 42 actual human trafficking cases.
Wow, let that sink in. 42 real situations, real potential victims needing help got pushed aside because resources were tied up chasing a fantasy about furniture.
That's the real cost of disinformation. It has tangible victims, and it also distracts from what trafficking usually looks like.
Right, it's rarely these elaborate corporate schemes.
Almost never. The reality is often much closer to home, vulnerable people being groomed and exploited by family members, partners, people in their own community. The focus on Wayfair skews pulled attention away from recognizing those real, local signs.
And the radicalization pipeline didn't just end with clogging up hotlines. This theory directly fueled real-world extremism and violence.
We saw clear links to individuals involved in the January 6th Capitol attack. For some, the Wayfair theory wasn't just something they believed, it was a key reason they felt extreme action was necessary.
Can you give us specific examples again?
Yeah, consider Roseanne Boylan, who tragically died during the riot. Her family explicitly stated that her deep dive into QAnon really accelerated after she encountered and believed the Wayfair conspiracy. It convinced her that this cabal was real and that desperate measures were needed to save the children.
It became a justification for political violence, and Ashley Babbitt's path was similar.
Her social media trail shows a clear progression. She was always concerned about social issues, but in 2020, her feed became intensely focused on QAnon trafficking theories. The Wayfair story appears to have been a significant accelerant, reinforcing her belief that the government itself was corrupt and complicit, which ultimately led her to be at the Capitol on January 6th.
So even though the evidence was flimsy, the psychological pull was incredibly strong. Why do these things stick so well?
Well, on a basic level, they meet fundamental psychological needs. In a confusing, scary world, they offer simple answers, a sense of certainty, and a clearly identifiable enemy. Wayfair selling kids through cabinets. It's a terrifying thought, but it's also weirdly simple compared to grappling with complex global issues.
And the complexity of the evidence, this gives the Yandex search that actually makes it stickier, doesn't it?
Ironically, yes. It makes believers feel like they're in on a secret. They possess special hidden knowledge. They're woke, while everyone else is just sheeple. Deciphering the codes, connecting the dots, it reinforces their sense of being smart, perceptive, and part of an important discovery.
It gives them a role to play, a sense of agency in fighting this perceived evil, fueled by compassion, but completely misdirected.
Exactly. You're not just scrolling online. You're a digital soldier in a secret war. It's a powerful feeling. Hashtag tag outro.
Hey, so when you look back at the Wayfair cabinet conspiracy, it's just such a stark example. The core idea itself, kids in cabinets sold online for $14,000, it's objectively absurd when you examine it.
Totally absurd. But the consequences, those were devastatingly real. You had anti-trafficking resources diverted from potentially 42 real cases. You had innocent bystanders like Samia Moomin harassed and terrified.
And you had individuals pushed further down a radicalization path that ended in violence and death at the U.S. Capitol.
It's a chilling case study in how a real societal horror, human trafficking, can be weaponized. How that legitimate fear and desire to help can be twisted by disinformation for political ends, causing immense harm completely unrelated to the original lie. The threat isn't just theoretical. It has victims.
We've really tried to break down how this lie worked, why it felt believable, and how that genuine impulse to protect others got warped into something destructive. So, thinking about that, the next time you come across a story online that hits those same buttons, shocking, confirms your worst fears about powerful people, demands you act now, what do you do?
Knowing how these things operate, how easily compassion can be manipulated. How do you make sure your energy, your outrage, actually goes towards helping real victims, whether it's trafficking or other injustices, instead of just amplifying another harmful myth?
It's something to really think about. What stood out most to you in all this? We'd genuinely like to know what you think.